You've conquered red. You've mastered blue. You've triumphed over yellow. You've caught them all. And now you're ready for the next step. Welcome to the world of Pokémon Gold and Silver. Tons of new Pokémon, new adventures and worlds to explore. New badges to collect.
Don't make things understand, okay? I really wish I could understand what happened to my brother. My brother feel like he just seen something. I don't even know what he saw, but when I play this game, I don't even know what happened. I think it has something to do with the game whenever you're in Mount Silver, and then I think it's starting to scare him completely. I just hope my brother's okay, but now my brother's gonna face me with these kind of problems like his. So my brother and I, we kind of grew up on Pokemon. Around here, a lot of kids did. It worked out perfectly for us too. Every time the new generation come out, one of us will get one version, and the other will get the other version. And since our mother liked to spoil us, we both get a third one. This is going to sound at first like a bittersweet story about the two siblings who grew up with a couple of games that eventually take them down two different roads. Well, it's a little more than that. The years rolled by, we kept collecting. The Game Boys got old, we replaced them. Cartridge finally gave out, we pick up new copies, but we started down two completely different roads before Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald came out. See, around then, my brother got a Game Shark. We had heard all the hacks and cheats you can do with them, even if we're kind of late to the party. They sounded awfully cool. Our first game pick cartridge was my little brother's old blue version. We just sticked around with it a little bit, nothing major, but whatever we did, fucking up the cartridge, after we just couple of code entries, it glitched out completely and became unplayable. Naturally, we're upset at first. My brother mourned the loss of his hours of work. But I do sympathetic. I told him, it's okay, we can replace it, I guess. Stupid shark was a waste of money. But here our path finally differed. After seeing the mess it turned blue version into, I had become opposed the idea of hacking and cheating any of my games. What can I say? I'm a chick. I feel feelings for the little pixel critters. At least with that Game Shark, but my brother had taken his game's destruction as a personal challenge or something. I don't think he ever played a game after much that wasn't hacked somehow. Yeah, we play a shit ton of Pokemon, man, but for us there wasn't really much else to do. We live our way out in a country without many other kids, and the farmers didn't want us to be on their property. So we played Pokemon out of the lawn just about all day, every day. It was pretty awesome to us, at least. We lost a Game Shark when our rooms got moved around. A new addition was built into our home, and it disappeared in a mess of shit that is stuffed into the new closet. Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald arrived, and after playing through one of them, we both get an arrangement that they were definitely lacking in comparison to the last gen. We both tried another honest playthrough, and we managed to finish. It left us both yearning for some good old-fashioned nostalgia. We were our old gold, silver, and crystal cartridge, though. It took us probably a month to dig up through the boxes we've been too lazy to open up before, but we finally found one full of shitload of our old electronics. My purple Game Boy Color still worked. His red one could no longer hold batteries in place. Both our GBAs were fine though, along with our snake lights and link cables. That one of a nifty little connector in the middle that I had always wrapped so carefully to avoid frying the wires and committing to the trash while our last cable. We both grabbed up everything we could. It was so nice to have yellow, which had been my first and most cherished game of my series, not just Pokemon, and red and gold back. We went through the mentions of checking our old files, taking it in our old memories, and eventually we figured that Gen 1 stuff was too nostalgic to get rid of. I restarted gold, he started silver. Immediately he snatched the Game Shark out of a box and slipped it into the back of a GBA. I shook my head at him and remembered what I said to him. That thing will kill your game, you know. He never had liked me pitching to him about abusing pixels. I shut my mouth after that, but it had put him off the plane with me. I guess it was just one time too many or something. I don't know to keep my thoughts to myself, really. It was a couple of days later when it happened. I was out on a porch, Game Boy in hand, just about to go into the Elite Four when I realized I needed a little help. My team was ill-balanced thanks to my playing through for the leashers. And at a time I was no great trainer that could pull off gimmick runs. I knew that my brother had been 2 batches ahead of me when we last checked with one another. I was hoping maybe he'd let me borrow a Pokemon or 2 just for this run-through. Now the thing is that I spent the last 24 hours at a friend's place. I had literally come home, dumped my bag in my room, and crept out into the sun with GBA to play. I had no idea what he's been up to. For all I knew, he was done with the game and into the new one, which I figured was all the better for me since he wouldn't have needed those Pokemon that I started a better chance of nicking a few. So I got up and went into the house. And when I came across the living room, I noticed that all of his Pokemon games lying on the floor. Some of the cartridge has been mangled. They have been hacked at something sharp. Even his old blue version, long ago dead, and too sentimental and to throw away, was lying with a plastic cud rig, split almost halfway one side, completely unusable anymore. Even if it would have been work, I was a little scared. This happened to have happened this morning. Otherwise, our mother would have been seen and they would have been lying on the carpet. Tucking my GBA into my pocket. I crept over his room. I found the door unlocked. Somehow, that was even more concerning. I walk in. I found my brother sitting on the edge of his bed. His GBA was in pieces on the floor at his feet, smashed into bits. Next to him on the bed were a hammer and our mother's gardening scissors. His face was paler than I ever seen it, even whiter than the time we gone cornering and the old guys up the street, legally blinded and a ravening nutcase. A cousin chased us into the trees, had a shotgun. It is now I also noticed that the Game Shark was on the ground in a silver cartridge corner pocketed from under his bed. Somehow they had been spared with wrath of a hammer. Brother? Are you okay?
It was awful. Oh God. White everywhere. And then black.
I remember running over and hugging him. And I remember his limp arm fell and brushed the Game Boy in my pocket. And the sudden scream right in my ear made me jump and bite my tongue by accident. He ripped the handhold from my pocket and hurled it at a far wall. I cried out at the dent in the plastic system made there. Running over to collect it, the game had gone dark. And though I feared the worst, then I flicked the switch and it powered up normally. I waited there in the corner, tried to pretend that GBA mattered, though not to go and run to our mom. The volume was on, the Pokemon theme started up, and he screamed again, picking up the hammer. This time I screamed too, and ran from the room with my GBA clutch to my chest like a shield. He ended up in the psych ward for the hospital for 2 days. When we went to visit him, I left my GBA at home. No one could figure out what had set off his strange, manic behavior. There was a talk that I didn't understand at the time. There was some kind of a disorder that he and may not have had. Not even Mom and I had collected and brought out an all cut up cartridge and looked at it. Mom's idea, not mine's. No one even thought to tie it back to the game. Or maybe that was my fault. I haven't said a word about what happened when he had actually touched my Game Boy, or the blinding white terror that had thrown into the music. Had started where on my last visit to the hospital before school on a second day, I was left alone in a room with him while Mom had some private talk with the doctor about the prescriptions that should happen again. I sat on a chair next to the bed where he's staring at the ceiling, but then he suddenly got up and flinched.
Hey, Angie, go in my room, and when you get home, get rid of them. I don't ever want to play with them ever again. Just promise me you'll get rid of them.
Okay, I promise. I was carted off to school late, and though a whole day I only had a promise to him in my head, I didn't know it at the time, but this would be the last time I could ever play the big sister role and help him out. I just had to get home and get rid of that game. But as the day went on, a sick curiosity started to go through on my head. What could possibly have happened to that game that scared him so badly? I was scared myself, but I just had to know. I had to. But I got home and went right into this room, bent on the cover whenever horror was waiting for me. My mom had since vacuumed the room, and the cartridge and the Game Shark was no longer visible. I got down and crawled half under the bed, feeling timid, but holding on to the promise I had made as my badge of courage. Under the bed there was enough to dust to make it cough, enough old Legos and various old other toys that I could have set my elbow down without it landing on something. But I finally saw both objects. They'd been shoved to the corner on the top of a notebook that looked too new and have been down here long. Unthinking, I grabbed the corner of the paper and dragged everything out of me, still wheezing out of the dust, allergies and all. They looked so innocent, simple toys and simple spiral-bound bunch of paper. When I set Silver Version and Game Shark on the floor, I took a closer look at the notebook, and on it were a scale of at least 20 different cheat codes, but one had been scratched out and with Sharpie over where it has entirely been drawn in with pen. This was confusing. He had really tried to erase it out. The marker had been pressed to the paper so hard the ink soaked through the most of the paper behind it, almost 2/3 of a way of a car's stock back cover. But the pen has the way of sticking around. I picked up the notebook and tilted it backwards in the light, and the reflective surface of the Sharpie revealed the indents that had been left where he written. The code was an unintelligible mess of letters and numbers, but the word next to it confused me. Easter egg snow on Mount Silver. I remember what he had said when I found him. He had been raving about whiter than black. Could you mean snow? Or could you mean something else? Even though it was only August and the temperature was still climbing to 90 degrees every day, a chill ran down my spine. Did I dare? I picked everything up and brought it to my room and laid it out on the carpet in front of me with my own GBA next to it. For a long time, I just stared down at it. And the longer I looked, the more medical Lugia's face become on a sticker. Looked like some kind of a twisted grin. It was daring me to find out what happened to my brother. I was a 14-year-old kid. Did I really want to tempt fate and risk it ending up like him? I glared down at Lugia a while longer. I had to see. I slid gold out of my GPA and struck silver in its place. It almost took me 15 minutes to compose myself and turn it on. They started up normally. I left the sound on low. Too afraid of what I might hear to keep it up the full way. And took care to turn the way off. The title screen was normal, too. Looking at it again. But somehow amazing despite my common sense telling me it was exactly the same picture as every other time I had started up the game. How bad could this be? I asked myself. His note says Easter egg. Didn't that mean that it was coded already in the game? The menu already came up. Still absolutely normal. His character was Blake, with a mostly filled Pokedex. But the time was odd. 999.99. I knew he couldn't have been playing that long. I barely logged 50 hours of my own game. I was at the Elite 4. But I was playing slowly. Probably the result of his hacking fucking up his file. I thought, well, whatever. When the game started up, the first thing I noticed was that the prologue and black screen, it took me almost a minute for anything to change. There was no sound at all. The hairs on the back of my neck standing up already. But it was too late to turn back. I've got to figure out what is happening to my brother. Unfortunately, my curiosity got better of me when the game started to load up. So, what I do know, at first, it all went to static. Completely static.
What is a wild celebi doing in here? I thought I really captured you, but it turns out you're just basically there. I'm not sure this cold can really handle me more. I think it's best to assume I just really think if I can capture you or something.
You can't do that, trainer.
Are you talking to me? You really are talking to me? Just are you really talking to me?
I know it seems a little frozen out here, but the thing is, it's frozen. As hell. I know for a fact you just really think you come all this way just because you want to battle with some stronger trainer up here? It turns out, I think you can. So later you're starting to feel like everything in your body's starting to freeze completely. And who are you gonna tell the people about it? I know for a fact that there are a lot of people out there in these shivers, snow. Might take them a little more different. Some shiver out of your body. Just really tell the difference. But you gotta take respect. Sometimes takes little efforts.
So what you're saying is that whenever you're doing up here in this mountains, you really think you came up this way just because I just want to take the Pokeball and go ahead and fight Red that I was about to do? Or part of you really think you want to stop me on this way? I want you to get out of my way so that I can face it. I can really face Red up here in the Mount Silver.
You can't do that, kid. Your entire body's frozen. If you dared to go to see the champion, I know for a fact we've all been frozen to death. Hypothermia always gets stronger every time we step on these cold, snowy footprints. Sometimes takes a little efforts. I would say you can't get to Red. I shall put you to sleep. Like, completely sleep.
I'm not sure if I could go through this. No. I feel like my entire body started to fall apart because of the shiver. You must be Red, the champion of all time in Kanto. I know you can't say nothing, but it's pretty obvious then. You must be the only trainer who doesn't say anything. Maybe because there's a lot of reason. As if I could really tell the difference. I am so cold. So cold. I know you are, kid. You can speak, Red? I felt that same way too. All my Pokemon are frozen solid. And you know why? Because I've been here in this mountain for centuries. Actually, not centuries, it's 8 years ago. Why'd you came up here? Aren't you like gonna die afterwards, you know? Like, aren't you gonna die from hypothermia? Maybe. I know how it feels. Just trying to battle with me. But that's fine, kid. We all gonna have to fight our battles just to face this madness. Turns out this cold and this snow, it's always been this way. Freezing us to death. It's like one point to another. I could totally tell. Most of my Pokemons are completely frozen except Typhlosion. My Pokemon's already completely dead. Like, completely. I'm not sure if we could keep up with this battle. If we're gonna do the Pokemon battle, I know for a fact that we're gonna have to do this one option way. Let's see who wins, so that way we can be prepared to our death. Our death? I almost lost my ear, but luckily I caught it. Are you saying one of us gets defeated, and if we die, all of us are gonna be here, frozen to death of this mountain? Well, that's the obvious choice. I know for a fact there are a lot of Pokemon trainers who really think it's best to assume, just trying to take me on here in this mountain. Sometimes they just want to make it here. See who will stand, who will face the champion. Well, looks like you were the only one who made it all the way here. If it wasn't for you, kid, I would have been lost everything. Mostly my team. Well, too bad my team. My team are completely frozen. Frozen? Yeah. Completely frozen. I was about to be frozen too. And I started feeling like completely. I mean, I know for a fact that it might take a lot of complicated, but it turns out we may never know if we're going to be home soon. Why can't you go home? Your mother missed you. I mean, I think it's best obvious choice that we should just go back home and be with your mother again. I know she missed you, but I don't know why you don't want to go back. Is there a reason? Of course there's a reason. This place used to be here for my own solitude. You know what happened all these years trying to face up with Team Rocket? Huh? What are you doing if you're gonna face Team Rocket? Well, I took them down, right? I mean, that's you. You're Red. You're the one who managed to defeat the Team Rocket 8 years ago. I mean, I did take down the Team Rockets also. And how come you are feeling like, you know, starting to realization that you feel like you just have bad memories? I don't have bad memories. All I have is just bad thoughts of what Pokemon would do. And I knew for a fact my Pokemons are starting to realizing about my own strength to try to take down Team Rocket. And you know why? Team Rocket always trying to hurt Pokemons and steal people's Pokemons, but it turns out they just want to do it for a reason. It's just so much. But I know it takes little efforts. But trust me, this is why we're gonna need to figure out about it. If you really think you become a champion already, I already am a champion. I already am the Johto League champion. I'm here to try and defeat you. And I'm not sure if I can because I'm starting to feel cold. I completely lost my eye and I lost one of my leg. Now all I had to do is just hop. Maybe I can run real quick, but I'm not sure. I think I will try to battle you. Let's see who wins. Red. We shall see. After this, I'll tell you.
Patrick! SpongeBob's gone missing! Something terrible happened to him. Patrick, you open this door. Patrick, sometimes I just don't understand you. Hello, SpongeBob? SpongeBob?